Hello everyone, this is Jack Frost back with your weekly update for the Ethereum Technicals and XRP. For the Ethereum Technicals on the weekly chart, we can see that price has continued to consolidate within resistance at 2800 and support at 2400. The last completed week ends with a very small candlestick and a long bearish upper wick, while the previous week has ended with a dark cloud cover. Volume does overall support downwards movement at the weekly time frame, with the strongest volume on these bearish candlesticks and a push on the last completed bearish week, though volume is overall getting a little bit weaker as price moves away from its last low, where it broke just below support at 2400 here. ADX declines at the weekly time frame, showing no clear trend. ATR declines as price consolidates for the very short term, giving an overall bullish outlook for volatility as ATR previously increased along with price. And as ADX declines at the weekly time frame, we use the model of stochastics and support and resistance, though please note that while we do prefer the daily time frame for short-term price fluctuations, at the weekly time frame, the model suggests a upward swing may occur at this point towards resistance, potentially up at 3580, where price finds that resistance point, while stochastics may enter overbought. The previous downward swing may have ended at the last low, where price found support at 2400 and stochastics failed to fully enter oversold. On the technical daily chart for Ethereum, price has continued to consolidate for quite a while now, in between resistance at 2720 and support between 2400 and 2100, for the very short term continuing within this narrowing range of resistance here and support here. Volume supports downwards movement on the daily time frame as well, with a push on the various bearish candlesticks, particularly these recent candlesticks just here. The volume has overall declined from price's previous low, where it broke just below support at 2400. As previously mentioned. ADX now increases from a very low point and below both DX lines, giving the strongest bearish signal it can, increasing with a bearish trend. On balance, volume moves within a narrowing range, currently giving no signal, though as it is at this support line, it may give a bullish signal if it reacts and moves away from support, or a bearish signal if it breaks below that support line. Though please note that if it does give a bullish or bearish signal, it would not be the very strongest signal, as this line is not very long held and only has the minimum 2 tests. Additionally, it does have quite a noticeable slope. RSI is neutral and declining, with a bit of room before it may enter oversold and quite a bit before it may enter overbought. Money flow also neutral and declining, with a lot more room before it may enter oversold or overbought. ATR declines as price consolidates at this point, and as ADX increases with a bearish trend that is in its early stages and not yet in danger of ending, it does expect price to continue lower to where ADX may reach extreme or very extreme conditions, while RSI and money flow may exhibit some divergence and or enter oversold. Please note that at this point we do rely quite heavily on the Elliott Wave count, so if you want an update for that every week, you can sign up for that using the link in the description below at pureelliottwave.com, as I mentioned in basically all of these videos. On the XRP weekly chart, this wave count sees primary wave 3, intermediate wave 3, and minor wave 3 to continue higher, currently with minor wave 3 in its early stages. Within intermediate wave 3, any second wave corrective movement cannot move below its start at 0.3838, meaning if minor wave 2 just here wants to move any lower, it cannot move below this point. Primary wave 3 overall continuing higher, with a target calculated at 28.84 using the 14.72 ratio between that and primary wave 1. It may last a duration Fibonacci 3 years, ending potentially in November 2025. Additionally, a best fit channel is drawn around intermediate wave 2. A full break above this channel with a full green candlestick above and not touching would add confidence to this wave count, seeing the upwards movement for these third waves to continue with increasing range and momentum. Though as is common for cryptocurrencies like XRP, it is common for these third waves to start out slow and accelerate through the middle. So for the early stages of these third waves, particularly with minor wave 3, a lack of range and momentum is not cause for concern at this point. And this low with the end of intermediate wave 2 on the weekly chart. Is the slow here on the daily chart. We can see more detail for the upwards movement labeled intermediate wave 3 and the very beginning stages of minor wave 3, currently within minute wave 1 and within that minuet and sub-minuet third waves. This wave count has a long, extended second wave for minuet wave 2 within minute wave 1, giving a little bit of concern for this wave count as it is a extremely long duration for this second wave. A short-term confidence point is calculated at 0.6585, where minor wave 3 would make a high above the end of minor wave 1 just here. That would meet that core Elliott Wave rule. And within minuet wave 3, any second wave corrective movement cannot move below its start at 0.4866, meaning if sub-minuet wave 2 wants to move any lower, it cannot move below this point. And as I have mentioned previously, these third waves commonly start out slow and accelerate through the middle, so for the very short term, a lack of range and momentum is not yet cause for concern. Please note that as price continues with the high volatility for markets like XRP, the labeling within minor wave 3 may be altered at some point soon. On the technical weekly chart for XRP, price has declined after this last bearish engulfing pattern just here, moving below support, now resistance at 0.54 to 0.55. Volume overall supports downwards movement for the mid to long term with the strongest volume on this bearish candlestick just here, though a push on some of these bullish candlesticks sees some strength for upwards movement. Volume does overall support downwards movement with the strongest volume on the bearish candlesticks, particularly in relation to the neighboring bullish candlesticks. ADX is increasing, though it is below 15, so there is no clear trend. If it does continue to and above 15, it will give the strongest bearish signal it can, increasing from a low point and below both DX lines. ATR has overall declined along with price, moving a little bit sideways with a slight bullish slope as price declines, giving an overall bearish outlook for volatility at the weekly timeframe. And as ADX indicates no clear trend at the weekly timeframe, we continue to use the model of stochastics and support and resistance, though again, while we do prefer the daily timeframe for short-term price fluctuations, at the weekly timeframe this model suggests a downward swing may continue at this point. Towards support down at 0.46 or potentially down to 0.40 where price finds one of those support points, while stochastics may enter oversold. The previous upward swing may be complete at the last high. Just here where price found resistance at 0.62 to 0.675 while stochastics failed to fully enter overbought. On the technical daily chart for XRP, we can see more detail for price's decline after this recent bearish engulfing pattern just here. Price currently moving just below resistance at 0.54 to 0.55. Volume at the daily time frame supports downwards movement with the strongest volume on these bearish candlesticks, particularly the small cluster just here as price made a strong decline previously. Though there is a push on some of the bullish candlesticks seeing some strength for upwards movement, volume does overall support downwards movement. ADX increases with a bearish trend that is not extreme and not yet in danger of ending. When ADX began to increase, it was from a very low point and below both DX lines, giving the strongest bearish signal it can. RSI is neutral and overall declining a little bit, getting closer to oversold, though it does still have some room to move. Money flow also neutral and declining with quite a bit of room before it may enter oversold, and additionally neither RSI or money flow exhibit any divergence for the short term. ATR has steeply declined as price has declined as well, giving an overall bullish outlook for volatility at the daily time frame, where ATR previously increased along with price. And as this bearish trend indicated by ADX is not yet extreme and not in danger of ending, it does expect price to continue lower to where ADX may reach extreme or very extreme conditions, while RSI and money flow may enter oversold and or exhibit some divergence. Please note that while this contradicts the Elliott Wave count, we do place more value in the Elliott Wave count, particularly for markets like XRP, though it is still important to take this technical data into consideration. And that's all for me with your update for XRP and the Ethereum Technicals. As I previously mentioned, if you do want the Ethereum Elliott Wave count, you can sign up for that at pureelliottwave.com using the link in the description below. Thank you, and I hope everyone has a good week.